Well, I'm Undubisi Echezona Wankwo, and I'm Nigerian. Now, I was born in California, and that's a testimony on its own. But to kind of run through it, my parents being Nigerians, my dad was able to work his way through hard work and schooling to get opportunities to study abroad over here in the United States. And with that being said, my mom capitalized on the opportunity to have all of us, all her kids, in the United States. So that makes me a United States citizen. I was born in California. Now, the second I was born, more or less, I was taken back to Nigeria, where my parents decided it was time to raise us there. And I stayed in Nigeria for 14 years of my life. In terms of my faith and what I knew growing up, my parents are Christians. I was born Catholic because my dad is a Catholic, and my mom was born, raised Anglican. So growing up, I was leaning into the Catholic faith. I was leaning into the Catholic doctrine, but my mom felt challenged because she felt like we weren't really involved as we should be as kids. She felt like we weren't building that personal relationship with Jesus. So when my dad had to stay back in Lagos, which is a city in Nigeria, and we had to move to a different part of Nigeria for my mom to work, my mom saw this as an opportunity to open our eyes to different kinds of churches, starting with Protestant churches. So this happened around when I was 10, 11, 12, and my mom took me and my siblings to a Protestant church. Now, it was a different setting from a Catholic church, and me personally, I did feel more involved in this church. I was excited to go. I was excited to go hear the word. I was excited for the praise and worship. I was looking forward to Sundays now. So, this was basically the story of my growing up in Nigeria. And before I knew it, the year 2018, it happened. My dad said it's time for us to move back to the United States. And just one by one, or I guess you could say two by two, he had us all, move to Houston, Texas, because my mom had family in Houston already. So December 2018, I and my sister, we traveled to the United States from Lagos, and it was just all magical. The experience, all magical, truly a testimony from God. And kind of just keeping up with my faith, wasn't really on fire for Christ at that point. I was still learning, still growing. I will say, coming here, I had the wrong idea of what true salvation meant. I thought I was going to be saved by my good deeds. I did grow up being the last kid in the family. So, I don't want to use the term golden child, but in the sense of I stuck to my parents' rules. It was very easy for me to find favor before my parents. And, I tried to stay away from things to please my parents, do things, get good grades to please my parents. And just putting all that together kind of then gave me this ideology that, by doing these good things, that's what would determine my salvation, basically. I thought I would go to Christ, I would go to God and say, hey God, I was a good person, I helped the homeless, I stayed away from this, I did this. But lately, I've been coming to the realization that that's kind of the opposite of what the gospel is, because Christ didn't come to call the righteous, he came to call the sinners. He said, is it the healthy that need a doctor? No, it's the sick. So me proclaiming to be self-righteous and thinking that I'm being saved by my good deeds is me kind of rejecting what Christ came for altogether. And I found myself where I had to humble myself down and understand that I am a sinner before God. I am not perfect. I'm far from it. And that's why I need Christ in my life to lead me onto the path of righteousness. I need Christ. I needed to come to that realization. And that's really the basis of my own salvation, of understanding that it's not by my doing, it's not by my power or by my might, but it's by His Spirit. growing up, moving to college, meeting people, coming to Monticello has kind of shown me a different light that, oh, I was wrong, if that makes sense. I had a false sense of Christianity. I didn't truly understand what it meant to be a Christian. That it's not really about, you are to obey the commandments, right? But it's not by your own doing. It's only by His grace. I'm not going to be saved because I did good, or I'm not going to go up to God and say I was a good person, I deserve to be saved. No, I deserve to be saved because, first of all, I don't deserve to be saved, but I get to be saved because Christ came down for me and for everyone out there. So I think that's really the basis of like where I'm coming from in my testimony. I'm not saying I was perfect, definitely far from perfect, but just that ideology of thinking that, oh, it's by my doing. Oh, if I do this, if I do that, if I don't do this and I don't do that, then for sure I'm walking on a path of eternal life. And my testimony kind of reminds me of Proverbs 16:25 that says there's a way that appears to be right, but eventually leads to death. I thought I was in the right path. If you had told me, I've told you that. If you had asked me, I'd have told you that I had it all figured out, that, oh, this is how you do it, this is how you get there. But that wasn't it. That wasn't the right answer. And just so thankful to God that He was able to show me the right path and lead me, onto the right path of trusting Jesus, accepting that He died for me. And yeah, that's really it.